Hey.
Hi, this is Pamela Ghost, and we have Shimmer Johnson on the line.
Hi, everybody.
So, yeah, this is recorded. It will be published live. So,
No
um,
worries.
yeah, I was looking at your biography on Spotify,
Yes.
and I was like listening to a lot of your tunes there, and I really like the "Don't Break Me" collection. We had multiple versions of that song.
Yes, for sure. I had worked with John Fitzgerald and his team of people, and he approached me actually. He loved the original Don't Break Me song, so basically asked if he could remix it. And originally I thought he was only going to remix like one or one or two
Mm.
versions of it, but he ended up doing a ton of versions for it. So we just decided to release it as an album.
Yeah, so it's like 7 songs on the remix album.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The original and then 6 remixes.
yes, I like the original, but the remixes are really cool because then you get to hear it, like an EDM version.
Yeah.
I'm a synth guy, so I like hearing the electronic, like your pads on the kind of synth.
Yeah, my favorite out of all of those is the Nihility remix one.
Yeah,
I really like that one.
The dubstep one's good. The
Yeah.
Terranaut one I kind of like too, but
that one's good too. They're all good. They're all different too,
yeah, they're all different.
Nice.
That's what's cool about it. So, what I like to do is just get into your background and like how did you get into music? What are your primary instruments? A lot of people are vocalists, so that's their primary instrument. But in terms of like a musician, do you play other instruments? So maybe we get to your history of getting into music. And
yeah, right now I'm mainly a vocalist and a lyricist. I can play very limited piano, but I play good enough to write in the recording studio.
Okay.
And then my husband just replays everything because he's gone to college for piano. So he's like, oh, you're trying to play this. He'll replay it for me. I actually played Don't Break Me. That's me playing piano. So that's about as good as I can play.
Well, that's very good. I mean, sometimes the honesty of a singer-songwriter actually playing piano, it might not be like classically trained, it might not be a studio musician, but the honesty that you get, it kind of goes back to like Dylan. Dylan might not be like the best guitar player, but when he plays guitar and sings his own music, there's like an authenticity to that I appreciate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so pretty much I play piano by ear. So I have no clue what I'm playing, but I can play good enough to write.
That's a good way of doing it. Sometimes you don't have to, if you ask a lot of the blues guys, they don't know how to read.
Yeah, me neither. No clue.
So I mean that doesn't mean that you can't be a great musician.
And I've been singing since I was a little kid. So my dad was in a country band when I was little, and we used to like every Saturday and Sunday our family would just get together and just sing covers of country music. And so I grew up with mainly country. My dad's American, my mom's Canadian. So
when did you decide that you were doing covers? When did you decide that you actually could be a songwriter and you could actually, write your own songs?
I wrote my first song when I was about 21. I had met my husband, actually. We had met, and wasn't my husband at the time. He was just some guy that came to my karaoke show. I used to host karaoke for Mr. Entertainment. And he came to my karaoke show because I did this. It was back when MSN still allowed you to mass text people's emails.
Oh.
And I had a new show, so I had spent 3 hours messaging about 750 people to come to my karaoke show. And the only person that showed up was my friend Julie. That's now my friend. I've been friends with her for years. And my husband Corey, which is my co-writer / husband. And he showed up and invited me back to his recording studio at 2:00 in the morning. And I told him he was nuts and there was no way I was going back to his per se recording studio at 2 a.m. So I said I would call him the next day. He said to me, to this day, he didn't think I would even call him back the next day because
Yeah.
I thought he was weird. And then, yeah, and then I ended up calling him the next day, and then we wrote our first song, Waiting. It's actually, I've never ever released Waiting, but it's as good as Don't Break Me, and it was one of my first songs. So eventually I'm gonna like redo it and start releasing a lot of my older stuff that I wrote. That I have 300 plus songs that I've written over the last like 12 years. So
wow. Yeah, I can appreciate that. I'm a singer songwriter myself, and I've got like a lot of stuff in the can. Because I'm 51 and I've been writing since I was 17.
That's awesome.
So you can imagine how much I got. But yeah, I mean, I appreciate the amount of work that singer songwriters do, and it looks like it says on your profile you're working on a 2019 album.
Yes, I am doing a full album with the guitarist that used to play in the 80s band Cinderella, as well as he played in Wasted in the big famous Aussie tour.
Cool.
He was in that, Barry Benedetta. So we have been working on an album for the last, I would say, 4.5 months. And we've written 23 songs in 4 months.
Wow. So he's going to put that kind of the music he was associated with type of guitar sounds on the album, or you're doing something different?
Doing something totally different. This is like a rock project, so it's kind of like Don't Break Me, but with like harder guitars in it. Kind of like an Evanescence meets.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can get that.
Yeah, so it's like a pop rock.
So a little bit of heavy metal, but it's got that Evanescence kind of like goth low thing. Does it have like a gothic?
It's like a heavy metal, but with a soft Tori Amos type vocals over top. But
yeah, because Tori Amos, you kind of channel that with your authenticity and your honesty in your song. Yeah, I always appreciate that.
That's one of my influences. So Tori Amos, and that's what I grew up listening to. It was Kate Bush and Tori Amos and lots of country, Tanya Tucker and stuff.
Yeah, Kate Bush, I loved her work with the duet she did with Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, and then I've done, I used to listen to like Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston and Celine Dion. So when I was young, I wanted to be able to hold the note for 33 seconds like Mariah Carey did and Without You. And
the 5-octave range voice.
I have a 5-octave range actually, but yeah.
Oh, you do? Do you
sing really low, really high?
Are you going to implement a lot of that on the new album? Are you going to?
Oh yeah, the new album, but it's like full voice rock stuff, so it's a lot different. I'm also doing a lot of songwriting with a whole bunch of different Billboard writers in LA right now as well. So cool. I'm also going on the publishing songwriting route as well.
Well, that's a good way to go, because you end up being, if you go back to like the classic singer songwriters back in the day, I think like Tim Pan Alley, and he had all these writers, Carole King, and they were all writing, and then they became singer songwriter age in the 70s. It seems like it might be kind of turning back around, where people are appreciating albums again, because there's been this period where it's just nothing but singles.
Yes, I know.
But I'm kind of been a child of the 70s, and I appreciate singer-songwriters, the people would like to craft an album,
Exactly, and that's what I'm pretty much doing with Barry. We have a full rock album. It's actually being mixed and mastered right now. It should be done here in the next 2 weeks, and then we're actually doing a short little mini tour in May, from Georgia to New York. And then we come, and then we take a week and a half off, and then we come back to Canada and do a week from Edmonton, Alberta to Vancouver. So, and that'll be for all the rock stuff, the progressive rock.
So are you totally indie, or you're on a label?
I am indie right now, no label.
So when you do the tour, do you get backers, or you're self-funding, or how do you?
Right now, I'm pretty much self-funding. I have a full production company here in Canada, so I usually just pull a little bit of money from that. Plus, I have all the stuff for touring, so I don't really have to pay for anything. So it doesn't cost me a lot to go on the road and tour whenever I really want to, other than hotels and stuff, right? So
that's cool. Yeah, it's a lot of bands today, or even the big bands like Wilco, Radiohead, they left their labels and kind of running it themselves. It seems to be a trend.
Yeah, like what I'm going to end up looking for is kind of an indie label that has a little bit of funding for touring, and then maybe try to get on some major label distribution, because that's how you get on the radios nowadays. You have to have major label distribution for it to happen, right? So
I just was able to sign with 2 labels for distribution and marketing.
Yeah, record deals just don't exist right now in today's age.
I mean, it took me 30 years to finally get somebody to distribute my work. but I finally did it, but it took a while. But it's just a different world than it was back even when I was, a kid in the 70s.
Exactly.
So do you find that the way Spotify is it's great, and all the streaming services,
it doesn't pay very well.
Yeah, they don't pay. I mean, it's like
I have 500,000 streams on my 10 songs, and I got paid $2,100.
Yeah, you can't live on that. It's not like it's not like even when they were 99 cents. 9 people doing downloads and you got 80 cents. If you could get to 80 cents, you'd be making some money.
Yeah, then it makes sense.
But when you're getting
when you're making 0.0000009
of a penny,
then basically, like I said, have 500,000 streams on my songs, and I made $2,000.
Well, it seems like the bigger artists, not to get into the politics, but they get a larger piece of everybody's subscription.
Yes, they do.
And so that's kind of maybe not as fair to songwriters. And I know there's a lot of songwriters who've been really frustrated with the streaming services and trying to figure out to find a more equitable way.
Well, eventually what I think is going to happen is all of us songwriters are just going to have to, even the big famous ones are just going to have to say no to the streaming services and just stop putting music up on them. And eventually they'll have to go back to vinyl or CDs or MP3 sticks or whatever, right? And lots of people like to have
vinyl,
actual something to hold that they bought instead of paying $20 and it being in La La Land somewhere.
Well, I noticed today that vinyl is a really good deal for an indie band. You make a lot of profit on vinyl. You don't have to have a big run.
Yeah.
And if you show up on your tour with the vinyl, you can make pretty good money.
Yeah, that's what I think I'm not going to be doing it for this tour. I'm just going to bring CDs, but because it's just
it's hard.
We're at the last stage of the mixing and mastering of the rock album, right? So not a lot of time to send it out and get vinyls. So
but vinyls are limited in the length. If you have an album that's a certain length, vinyl can only go like 45 minutes.
Yeah. You
can't do 70-minute records with vinyl. So you kind of have to reconfigure, or you end up having a double. But then that's where you make your money.
Yep.
Because vinyl, people will buy them for $30-$40.
Exactly.
And if you sign them and if you have good art on them, it's a good experience. And I remember growing up with the vinyl. It's like one of the benefits of vinyl, I think, if you're a musician, is that your audience will actually listen to your whole project.
Exactly.
Which is what you want them to do if you're a singer-songwriter and you're writing in an album format. Yeah,
you want them to listen to the whole album. That's kind of why I'm releasing a full album for the progressive rock stuff. So.
Yeah, that's right. And I found actually something that's going on lately. It also is the tape cassette from the early 80s, 90s, before CDs.
Yeah.
Tape cassettes are actually coming back.
Really? Oh my God.
People are releasing albums, and it's actually very cost effective to actually print your album on cassette.
Yeah.
And have a physical cassette to give to somebody. It's not as expensive as CD. And a lot of kids are getting retro and getting like old Walkmans from like pawn shops, and those Sony Walkmans don't die.
It's true.
So there's actually a pretty good audience for that. And I even saw a company doing reel to reel, like there's a company in Russia that actually makes reel to reel albums on old reels.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool format because you get this big box and it has the ability to throw a lot of cool art into it.
Yeah, I just So other than the progressive rock thing I'm doing with Barry Benedetta, I also have like a full album adult contemporary pop stuff that's on the same lines of Don't Break Me. So I will be releasing that over the next year here. I just want to pick the right time because I want to give the progressive rock album a chance to make it. Yeah, and then I'll put that one out a little bit later. The adult
so more
contemporary one.
closer to the end of the year, you'll put the other album out.
Pardon?
Closer to the end of the year, you'll put the second record that you were just talking about.
Yeah, the adult contemporary one. And what's nice is the rock stuff that I wrote with Barry. We have like a heavier. It's almost like a heavy metal. It's almost like a heavy metal progressive.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Vocal. It's it's different. It doesn't sound like anything out there actually. And we got that album, and we also managed to write like a very album at the same time. So we're probably going to release the heavier stuff first, and then release the second album like about 6 months after the poppier album that we wrote at the same time, because we were trying to find our sound when we first started.
So you're thinking for the live setting, do you think the harder edged album is going to appeal to audiences?
Yeah, I think for the live stuff, the heavier stuff will work a little bit better. That's why we're doing, because the album's called Shadows, which will be all my heavier rock stuff. So it'll have Shadows on there as well as Echo. We have another one called My Reflection that's going to be on a web series as well. And so we're just starting to get a lot of feedback, and we're starting to get lots of interest from A&Rs in LA and such. So we're just kind of playing it out to see what they can do for us and so forth, and kind of go from there.
So you use like A&R, like booking agents to get into places?
No, you can get you'd need a manager to get into places, but no, the A&Rs help you find the indie labels, and they help you pretty much get on tours and stuff. And A&Rs technically, they just hook you up with the right people.
Okay, so they get you to the booking people on the tours, and then you get on the tours.
Yeah, A&Rs are different. Like before, when you got scouted out by an A&R, you were getting possibly a record deal, but it doesn't work that way anymore, right? So
yeah,
A&Rs still exist, but they find the talent, and then they hook you up with the right manager and the right whatever to get you, on radios and on tours and that sort of thing. And then you work out a cut for your A&R or whichever one that you decide that you're going with, right? So, and right now I don't have anybody. I'm just independent.
You're running independent. So when you do your shows, do you book them like directly?
Yeah, right now I am. Like I have a 80s show that it's an 80s party. I do it every year, and I'll probably be performing at that with Barry. I have to get it completely organized first, but that's one possible show. But like I said, we're going to be on tour from May 5th to the 11th from Georgia to New York. And then May 27th to June 3rd, we're in Canada for like a short little mini tour for, it's called Rise Up TV. It's a show about touring, and we got invited to come and do it. But the only thing is we have to fund it ourselves. So we have to pay for our plane tickets to get there, and we have to pay for our hotels and all that. But they're setting up all the venues, and it'll be cool.
Oh, cool. Oh, so the show is actually acting like your booker then.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's a different way of doing it. I was wondering how you could do that. So you got that organization to do that for you.
Yeah, cool. and then we can sell merchandise and stuff if we want to, and I'm probably just gonna bring some CDs up and maybe get some shirts printed up or whatever for the show for the week, because we're not touring very long, so we don't need a lot of merchandise. But
have you found that venues want to cut your merch?
Some do, some don't. Most don't, though.
Yeah, most of them are pretty cool where they don't. But lately, I've been seeing a trend
Oh,
Where,
really?
yeah, where some of them are trying to get like 30%. And we're like, what?
Yeah, right. They didn't make the
Like,
merch.
what are you doing? It's like
I'd be like, I'm not going to be playing there then. I'll move to a
yeah,
different
you're like,
place.
what are you trying to do? You shouldn't be touching my.
Not unless
Thinking,
they're forking in some money for the merchandise.
yeah, it's like what do you think you're doing? It's like, cause
They can
I
take a
cut
cut
out.
of the door because it's their
Yeah,
place, but no,
yeah.
not
Like, why are you touching my merch?
not my merch.
Don't touch the merch because, like,
The
you
merch is
guys
the
have.
only thing that really bands make their money off of when they are
Yeah,
touring. So
yeah,
yeah,
because the clubs can.
there's no way in hell I'd be giving away any of my merch money. That
Yeah,
pays for the tour pretty much.
yeah, because the clubs, I mean, they try to undercut you on the count and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's 400 people in here, and then there's like, it's 320, and like, I don't think so. But it's like it's just hard being a working musician because you got all the pitfalls of all the things you got to pay ahead of. You got to pay for your hotels and pay for your travel, and you're trying to actually
Exactly.
get through. So, but when it comes down to it, all musicians, you do it because you love to do it.
Exactly.
Right?
I like to perform. I love to perform. I love writing. On a full recording studio and production company here in Canada. And so I am always in the recording studio doing something. I just teamed up with an awesome team, Jay Allen and Bernie Stevenson, and we're writing some really amazing top 40 stuff right now, which is pretty awesome. I just did a demo for them for a song called Be Brave, and it's insane. I'd love to hear Kelly Clarkson sing it because it's kind of on that line of music. So
yeah, so you're going down the road of the old Tin Pan Alley kind of singer.
Oh yeah, I want to be able to songwrite. I want to be able to be an artist, and I want to be able to get my songs into movies and placements, and that's my goal, is to pretty much do a little bit of everything. Like I've already written with a few Billboard writers in LA. I've worked with Michael J, and he is responsible for the amazing song Toy Soldier by Martika from the 80s. And October 2017, I was grateful enough to be able to meet him at this networking conference that I went to in LA. And I happened to be singing his song, Toy Soldier, at the 80s party about 2 months after that networking conference. And so it gave me an excuse to go up and talk to Michael J. So I went up and I'm like, I'm actually going to be singing your song and super excited about that. And he's like, well, here's my card. Send me a video of it when you're done. And I'd love to take a look. And I was like so excited that he even talked to me. And then I sat down and I immediately emailed him Don't Break Me and 2 other songs. I'm like, I'd love to hear your take on these. And I'm like, I'm the girl Shimmer that just, just that's going to be performing your song, just so he remembered who I was, right?
Yeah.
And then after I got home, I waited like 4 hours. He emailed me back right away. And he's like, I haven't heard anybody write a song like Don't Break Me in a really long time. I'd like to work with you. When are you going to be back in LA again? And I was already back in Canada at that time. I'm like, I could fly back out. I could be there in like a week. He's like, sounds good. How about this date? And then I went up there and we wrote a song called Breakaway, and it's a phenomenal song. And he's got possible placements in a bigger blockbuster for next year. So if all goes well, you might be hearing from me sooner than later if it gets picked for the movie.
Oh yeah, so that's the dream of every artist. I'm an electronic artist, so we do a lot of soundscapes.
Yeah,
we do a lot of like stuff that's like background.
Yeah.
Film scoring, stuff like that. It's like, because so much of that needs to get done. Indie filmmakers are always looking for musicians to like do background to it. So that's where I am. That's what I do. But I do experimental music. But that's really cool. That's the goal of every artist. However, whatever type of format you want to be able to get your song commercially out there, whether it's in the top 10 or in a movie or a TV show.
Yeah, exactly.
Video,
and that's pretty much what
video
I'm working
games.
at, is trying to get it, into movies, placements and stuff like that. Pretty much just get my name everywhere and anywhere I can, right? So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely because the video genre is a big thing. To be able to get your music into video games or get it to be a theme
Exactly.
within
Yeah.
that genre. That's what we all are kind of striving for with our modes and
Exactly.
Jupiter 8s and stuff. But yeah, it's just really cool that you've already. One of the questions is like collaboration, and you've done a lot of
Yeah,
collaboration.
if I could give any advice to any artist, it would be collaborate with as many and anyone that you can in the industry, because the more you're out there, the more you get heard of, the more people start talking, and then basically the more networking you do, the more songwriting you'll get to do. I started doing that October 2017, and I got to meet, like I said, Michael J. I've got to do song workshops with Jed Friedman. He's the guy that wrote Run to You with Alan Rich for Whitney Houston. So I'm friends with Jed. I got to meet Michael J. Michael J. introduced me to Diane Warren, which was awesome. It's like everybody's dream is to meet Diane. She's the funniest person on the face of the planet. She doesn't write with anybody though, so other than who she chooses. But one day I will be able to write with her when I'm at her level, which I'm quite far from that level, but I'm going to get there at one point.
My biggest accomplishment so far is that Brian Eno was the A&R scout for Mojo Heads Records, and actually selected one of my songs to be on their EDM label.
That's awesome.
And then I got a remix by one of their DJs that's
cool,
associated with Brian Eno's label. So that's if you're like a progressive electronic synthesis, like Brian Eno is like God to us.
That's awesome. I actually I have my song Breaking that I wrote. It's kind of like a Alan Walker type song, but I'm getting it remixed by the Audio Freaks in the UK. They're remixing it right now, and they're going to be doing a full promo for that one song. So I'm excited about that too, and it'll be like a couple different EDM type mixes, right? So
yeah, it's good to be in everything, because your song can be played in the EDM circle, electronica, the DJ circuit all over the world. You can be playing soul in Tokyo,
exactly, and
Berlin.
they work with lots of the K-pop and stuff in Japan and stuff too, right? So like I said, I do a little bit of everything. I even have a country album. I have a little bit of everything. I have a country album.
Well, it's cool, guys. Yeah, I like you have that Kelly Clarkson kind of vibe, but you got the Tori Amos vibe, and then you got Evanescence.
Yep.
And then there's a lot. You're doing a lot. You got like a wide range.
Exactly.
But I think that's the key. If you go back, Bowie had this wide range of doing like all this stuff he would do. From the theatrics of what he would do.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just putting myself out there in every genre with every type of person, and as an artist, as a songwriter. That's pretty much my goal, is to do it all.
And it's cool that you have your studio, because then you have like unlimited ability to record, right? So you can make all these different. I think that's a key. I mean, I've built a home studio over 20 years to be able to just have all my modes and stuff and just do it whenever I want.
Exactly.
I think that's the core. Like some people say, "Oh, you got to just not write as much." I think you have to write a lot and then kind of wean through it.
Yes.
So some people don't, they'll write like 10 songs in
exactly.
a year. Right? If you get some people like they're really crazy, I mean, I probably write 5 songs a week.
Exactly. I did 3 songs yesterday, just yesterday. So
so I'm totally like feeling your vibe, because you're a hardworking, creative person, and when you do that, you don't really put a lot of boundaries on yourself. You're going to multiple genres. You're trying to get out there. It's really cool. I think you're a really good inspiration to a lot of indie artists. Because I've been interviewing artists for the last 2 years, from like punk to rock to pop, DJs, and you've got a really good work ethic. Really
you just have to keep at it. If you want to do it, you just do it. If you're going to be slacking and maybe I'll do it later, then you're never going to make it, right? You just have to do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, just before I came on, I was working on some tracks on my Moog. So I mean, it's like, I get inspired by analog machines like Moogs, because they you don't have to get samples. These analog synths can just give you stuff every day. Just tweaking them, and that's the inspiration to a lot of guys is like, you don't have to grab samples. We can make our own samples.
Exactly.
But so you're writing your own content. That's really interesting. I think that's
yeah,
really cool.
and now because I've done all of those writings with the Billboard writers and such in LA, I'm actually starting to get people wanting to work with me and like actually messaging me and saying, "Do you want to collab on a song together?" And I'm starting to get lots of that, which is awesome.
Do you ever think of being a producer?
I do. I produce too in my recording studio. Yeah, I do mainly vocal production, but yeah, I do production stuff.
So would you actually think of producing an entire record for another band?
Yeah, we do that all the time.
Oh, you do it all the time?
Yeah. We
so that's awesome.
Like we're doing Ultrasylum right now, and it's a female-fronted rock band, and then the lead singer is Cindy Steiger, and then we're also doing Carrie Bailey. She's doing more like soundtrack type stuff for movies and such. So we're doing hers, and then we're also we've worked with Relic before. He's a rapper here in Canada, works with a lot of the it's hard to explain. He does a little bit of like rap, pop. He's a mixture, even a little bit country. He mixes it all together. It's a really neat sound.
So he does a lot of like guest starring on things.
Yeah, he does. Well, he goes by Relic. He's got quite a. He's been on satellite radio and all that too, so he's been doing pretty good. He works with the indigenous people, the native people here in Canada a lot. So he's always performing. He's awesome. We've worked with bands like Holler and many other ones. Corey Johnson, my husband, he actually did the album for Disciples of Power years and years and years ago, the big heavy metal rock band. And yeah, so we've had quite a few.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a really interesting career. You got a lot of opportunities. I hope that your song gets placed in that movie, and then I'll be seeing you.
That's my plan.
Yeah. Well, you always got to have a long-term plan. You got the short-term plan, you got your long-term plan, day to day.
Yes.
I think that's what everybody's got to kind of map out what they're doing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's been great to talk to you. Like when your album drops, your new project or your several albums you're gonna have this year, you can always come back and we can actually go through and maybe we've done this with other artists to have albums. Actually, Kendra Black out of New York, we actually went song by song on her album, The Fire.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So we if you when you have it ready and you want to do some promotion, you can always come back.
Yeah, we could do that for sure. I'd be up for that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right.
Yeah, let us know when you're ready to do that, and we'll schedule it.
All right, I'm good with that.
Yeah, this is going to get published tonight, like on 11 platforms.
Okay.
Podcast platforms, including Spotify, iTunes, Radio Public, all those.
Awesome.
So we'll send the links to you as they become available.
Sounds good.
And you can push them out to your audience.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, everybody that's listening, you can just check me out online. If you Google Shimmer Johnson, all of my music comes up on my YouTube and on Spotify. I'm on Apple. I'm pretty much on anything and everything.
We're going to include your links on our podcast.
That's awesome.
So on the Spotify version, for some reason, they're not clickable.
Yeah.
On Apple and Stitcher and Radio Public, they are.
Okay. Cool.
So we'll put your SoundCloud link and your link from your Instagram.
Okay, perfect. That will be awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.
Goodbye.
Bye.